Peter. And these are our raised wicking beds. So we've got 8 in total, 4x8 raised beds that are about 2 feet tall each, and they're basically all contained. They're lined with most of them. Well, the 2 newer ones are lined with a pond liner, and so everything that grows in them is all it's like a big container. The roots don't go down below the level of the ground, but basically what we have here is a water reservoir in the bottom of the beds.
Bottom 6 inches.
Yeah, the bottom 6 inches are filled with gravel, and then the soil is separated from the gravel by a layer of landscape fabric. And in the corner of every bed is a tube of weeping tile. Yeah, and that allows the water them to be watered down into the bottom of the bed, and then there's an overflow spout right at the top of the gravel layer at about 6 inches to the top of the first board. And when the layer of gravel fills up with water, it will start to overflow, and that's when we know that they've had enough water.
So the reason why, so it's for 2 purposes. First is water conservation. So because we water into the weeping tile, we only need to water about every 4 days once things have sprouted or have taken root. So they don't need to be watered as often. You're not surface watering, and so there's definite water conservation. And in addition to that, the plants really like taking up the water from their roots rather than from above, and that's why the tomatoes and others get so big. So these tomatoes are actually, I'd say, about 10 days behind usual for this year. So usually by now they're falling over, and we have to create this whole rigging system to keep them from completely falling over. Yeah, so we've got 8 of these. We produce a lot of our own food. So in the summer and fall months, we probably produce at least 3/4 of our vegetables and fruit from the yard, so from the vegetable garden as well as from the fruit producing areas in the yard. Okay, so these beds are a miniature version of the beds, of the big 8x4 beds. So these are just made with food grade plastic bins that we have a little tube into, a little tiny piece of weeping tile in the bottom, and so the equivalent, but just a miniature version of them, which is really good for the driveway where you have to kind of move them around periodically. And we also have those in a greenhouse. Again, trying to replicate the system of trying to sort of have low maintenance, low water consumption.
And here we've got, I had some old grid rack left over from basically video rental display, and so we had these extra pieces, and we just every summer we put them up on the driveway, and we put climbing beans or pole beans up them, and then have some bush beans in the front. And this is always our bean production area. So
it produces a lot of beans. There's a period of about 2 weeks where every second day we're taking 3 pounds or so of beans off of these. Like, they really, really, really produce a lot of beans.
And otherwise it would be, unproductive space, but this gets south, it's south exposed. We get full sun on it all day, and it's a great place to grow. So this is a hugelkultur bed. So it's basically a big pile of logs buried under the ground with layers of compost in between, and then just some sort of retaining logs around the edge. And we've been planting a lot of perennials in it. So we've got asparagus, we've got a lot of strawberries all around the edges, and then some various different herbs and things on the top.
And then just a couple of flowers, just to add a little color.
And basically, as this decomposes, it provides nutrients to the plants that are growing in here. We actually have water trenched, so the downspout from our garage is trenched, and this is buried down into the ground about a foot. And so the water comes in, flows from that downspout through a trench and then soaks into the logs from below.
So the origins of this is in Germany during a period where you weren't allowed to burn wood, and so it was a way of encouraging, of allowing the trees that were cut down to decompose and to be used to grow food. What else would I say about this? Oh, overall, so in terms of the yard as a whole, so we've lived in this house for 10 years. We've been doing sort of one project a year over the course of that period. We both work full time. We have 2 kids. We have very busy lives. So everything that we've done has been about trying to minimize the amount of time we have to spend maintaining it. So we've been pretty conscious about designs that are as low maintenance as we can possibly make them. So a little very basic greenhouse. So we've used the same bed system in the greenhouse as the big beds and the beds in the driveway. So the same wicking system. We grow tomatillos, peppers, eggplants in here primarily. We've tried melons, but we haven't had a lot of luck. So we've been more or less sticking with varieties of peppers, tomatillos and eggplants. The tomatillos are really large. And we're having actually a bit of trouble right now keeping up with their growth rate. And so some of the leaves are getting a little bit yellow because they need more nitrogen. So we need to make basically a compost tea to add to them to add some more nutrients. So we just keep adding more and more compost. We can't quite keep up right now because they're growing so fast.
So this is our compost piles. So we have, we produce most of the, I guess, nutrients, fertilizer for the growth of the vegetables in our yard. So we do that just by collecting leaves in the fall, and then garden scrap, or kitchen scraps I should say, and grass. And so we do basically a Berkeley method of compost, which is mixing together the greens and the browns, turning it on a regular basis every 3 days or so, and it makes basically finished compost in about 6 to 8 weeks. And then so we start basically a batch every 2 weeks, keep turning it, and then when it's finished we sift it, and then that goes onto the garden beds, sometimes onto our perennials. But yeah, we produce actually more compost than we need each year, and we often give the extra compost away to our friends and neighbors.
So thank you for watching our video, and hopefully you'll start gardening too.